A Mortal's Journey to Immortality Episode 340. In the previous episode, Han Li uncovered a mysterious jade slip containing rare Buddhist techniques, among them the formidable bright jade arts. With monarch soul divergence's insight, he learned that this seemingly holy method was actually forged from ancient demonic origins, capable of transforming deadly baleful energy into power rather than purging it. Though dangerous, it was the only way to keep the corrupting force inside his body from breaking free. After comparing it with an old Demon Clan copperplate he once found, Han Li realized the technique had been altered, fragmented, and passed down through countless hands, devils, demons, and Buddhists alike. Despite the risks, Han Li resolved to cultivate the bright jade arts, relying on a newly gained Vajra relic to stabilize the process. But just as he left the Snowmound Mountains in search of a quiet spirit vein, a thunderous explosion shattered the land behind him. 3 terrifying forces, gray mist, black smoke, and a roaring white wind, burst into the sky, surging toward him with overwhelming might. What will happen next? Stay tuned. And the story continues. Not good, Han Li shouted in his mind as his heart suddenly dropped. He had intended to avoid the ongoing quarrel, but now trouble had come to find him. 3 forces of terrifying pressure were rapidly approaching through the snowy skies. From the might they emitted, Han Li instantly understood they were all nascent soul-stage cultivators, beings far beyond what a wandering cultivator like him could handle at the moment. Yet among those 3 powers, one was unstable and flickering, like a flame struggling against fierce wind. Its master was clearly wounded and attempting to flee. The other 2 were closing in fast, determined to cut their target down. Han Li did not want to be dragged into their conflict, but there was no time to retreat without exposing himself. He veered aside sharply, hoping the 3 powerful entities would ignore someone who appeared to be only at the Foundation establishment stage. Another 40 paces passed in a tense breath, and then Han Li stopped, scanning the air with confusion. Somehow, instead of passing him by, all 3 forces shifted directly into his path. The gray cloud took the lead. It swept past Han Li like a storm, revealing a pale cultivator wearing a tall crown hidden within the mist. His expression cold and filled with killing intent. He flicked a glance at Han Li. Something strange flashed through his eyes, as if he recognized something, but he continued speeding forward. Before the echo of wind faded, the entire mountain range trembled violently. A giant yellow gourd, 3 meters wide, shot through the air from far behind. Its mouth vibrated, and an explosion of yellow sand surged outward like a falling desert. The sand roared across the sky, chasing after the fleeing cultivator in the gray cloud. Soulfall sand. The crowned cultivator immediately recognized the attack and panicked. He urged his spiritual power, forcing his escape technique to its limit. A loud laugh followed, thunderous in the wind, as a huge man in yellow robes with a wild beard burst out from the surface of the gourd. "Brother Glorious Blaze, you are too slow." He made a seal with his hands. The sky detonated into a massive sandstorm. Thick clouds of deep yellow sand spanning an entire kilometer, shimmering with faint formations that flickered among the grains of sand. Flags appeared in the storm like ghostly claws, sealing the space shut. The wounded cultivator, called King Glorious Blaze, dropped from the sky in desperation, only to find that the swirling sand beneath him blocked his escape as well. He hovered, trapped in the center of a suffocating formation. In the next instant, a white storm and a cloud of black demonic fog descended beside him. All routes had been cut off. King Glorious Blaze was surrounded. The yellow-robed man stood proudly atop the giant gourd. His voice was steady and cruel as he spoke across the storm. "Brother Glorious Blaze, when you fought Mr. Song of the Grand Yang sect, the Sunthrust ruler wounded your incomplete heavenly corpse body. You are weakened and surrounded now. If you spit out your heavenly corpse pearl and let us restrain you, we will let you live. We have been cooperating for some time. I would rather not tear your soul apart." King Glorious Blaze's expression remained calm as he listened. Then he spoke with cold mockery. "Master Wild Sand, so it was you. After I left that ancient tomb, something felt wrong. You were stalking me, and your patience, 10 years. Watching me like a hungry wolf in hiding. It is not surprising I fell into your trap. But do you truly believe this sand formation can hold me? Master Wild Sand replied with a grim smile. We did not expect that you would carry the heavenly corpse pearl on your person. That changed everything. We prepared thoroughly. The sand you see here is blue crystal heaven sand, refined by Madame Heavenstone for more than 100 years. If you still think you can escape by burrowing through earth, then you are dreaming. King Glorious Blaze was visibly shaken. For a moment, doubt clouded his eyes. Then he laughed coldly. Blue crystal heaven sand? Do you think I am a child? Madame Heavenstone would never lend you something more precious to her than her own life. You are bluffing. Master Wild Sand said nothing more. His silence was more unsettling than his threat. King Glorious Blaze felt his heart tremble. Perhaps the sand truly was blue crystal heaven sand. Though the three surrounding devils appeared to hold absolute advantage, none moved forward. They stood in stillness, each studying the sky. Either they feared King Glorious Blaze's last strike, or they were waiting for something else. King Glorious Blaze found hope in the silence. Before fleeing, he had sent a sound transmission toward allies. If they received it, reinforcements would come soon. He only needed to stall for time. Snow drifted silently around them. 4 powerful cultivators faced one another in a death standoff. But there was a 5th person trapped inside the sand formation. That unfortunate figure was Han Li. He had entered quietly, hoping to pass unnoticed. He stood at the edge of the battleground, almost pressed against the wall of sand itself. He remained completely silent, suppressing his presence, waiting for violence to erupt so he could slip away unnoticed. But fate was cruel today. From within the black demonic cloud, a sharp voice echoed. That junior over there is in the way. Before we finish our business, we should eliminate him. The yellow-robed man glanced at Han Li. His voice was indifferent. Yes, kill the pest before he can cause any trouble. The words ignited a flame of anger inside Han Li. He had nothing to do with these devils. Yet they treated his life like debris to be swept aside. There was no other option. He had to break the soul lock seal. Even if it cost him dearly. He formed a hand seal, chanting quietly. His face glowed with shifting green light. 5 ghostly faces appeared and vanished. Then 5 green spheres of light flew from his body and disappeared into the air like spirits hiding in the void. While Han Li was casting his technique, the old devil hidden in the black cloud struck. The cloud condensed into a massive black python. It fell like a silent shadow, mouth open, fangs gleaming with a cold poisonous sheen. The other 2 devils did not bother to help. They believed Han Li was just a weak foundation establishment cultivator and unworthy of a second glance. Only King Glorious Blaze reacted. His eyebrows twitched, his eyes flickered with unexpected interest. The python lunged downward, jaws stretching wide enough to swallow Han Li whole. But before it could strike, Han Li raised his hand. A streak of golden lightning exploded outward. The bolt pierced the python's skull. The creature trembled violently and then dissolved into dust. The sandstorm fell silent for a heartbeat. Then Han Li exhaled and released his true power. His spiritual power surged outward like an awakening dragon. His body was surrounded by dazzling azure light, spiritual energy swirling around him in thick waves. The 3 devils froze. A foundation establishment cultivator could not possibly release such power. They stared at him with shock, their eyes wide, their minds racing. Han Li lowered his hand and spoke calmly. You 4 can fight among yourselves. There is no need to involve me. I am only passing through. Silence. The devils stared at him as though they were seeing a ghost wearing the skin of a young cultivator. Whoever this man was, he had hidden his cultivation perfectly. He might be as dangerous as any of them. King Glorious Blaze's heart sank. He recognized Han Li now, the mysterious cultivator who had taken the Vajra barrier. He knew Han Li was gifted, but this exceeded his expectations. Han Li spread his spiritual sense, probing the sand around him. His expression hardened. The sand truly did contain blue crystal heaven sand. Breaking through it would demand tremendous effort and time, something he did not have. He looked at the yellow-robed man atop the gourd. Fellow Taoist, you heard me. I do not intend to interfere in your matters. Let me leave now." The yellow-robed man hesitated. A long moment passed. Finally he said, "Fellow Taoist, may we know your surname and why you came to the Snowmount Mountains?" "My surname is Han. The mountains were simply along my path. That is all you need to know." His tone was sharp. Time was slipping through his fingers. Once the soul lock seal returned, everything he had gained today would vanish. But the yellow-robed man's face darkened. "You want us to release the restriction now? Impossible. The sand formation cannot simply be opened. If we weaken the formation, King Glorious Blaze will escape. Please wait. When we kill this old devil, we will release you. I swear a devil heart oath if it eases your mind." King Glorious Blaze laughed harshly. "If fellow Taoist Han trusts them, then he is choosing death. Once they kill me, they will silence you too. Help me break this formation and reach my cave residence nearby. Once there, you will be safe, and I will swear a devil heart oath to reward you greatly." Han Li's expression darkened. The words of Master Wild Sand lingered in his mind like poison. His instincts told him neither side could be trusted. And yet, time was ticking away. Master Wild Sand spoke again, cutting into the tension. "It would be best if fellow Taoist clearly understands what he gains and what he risks. Help him, and you die with him. Stay where you are, and live. The sand formation is impossible to escape from without our consent. My conditions are simple. You only need to wait here for a little while, and when the time comes, we will release you. I am also willing to swear a devil heart oath on this. Fellow Taoist, do not be coerced by them. Soon, my reinforcements will arrive. So long as you protect me for a short while, you will have nothing to worry about." King Glorious Blaze looked directly at Han Li as he spoke, his grim voice carrying both desperation and calculation. In the air around them, 3 nascent soul devils stood poised for slaughter, the sand formation pulsing like a vast trap of living stone. His presence, my presence, had become the decisive weight that could shift the battle to either side. I stood with my arms crossed, my expression calm, yet my thoughts turning like storm clouds. The yellow-robed man, Master Wild Sand, narrowed his eyes at King Glorious Blaze's words, a flicker of danger flashing beneath his surface composure. Although he had seen only a fraction of my abilities, the golden lightning and the sudden eruption of spiritual strength, he already understood that I could not be treated as an ordinary outsider. Even without revealing my full cultivation, I had forced him to reconsider every step of his plan. No longer willing to hide anything, Master Wild Sand spoke with cold finality. "Brother Glorious Blaze, could it be you have not discovered the 7 Devilwind Seeds and the 3 Yellow Earth Fiends? The moment you walked out of your tomb, fellow Taoist Heavenwind and I placed a spell formation outside it. Your reinforcements are trapped." His words fell like a hammer. The mocking tone, the confidence, every detail revealed the depth of the trap. The other 2 devils remained silent, observing King Glorious Blaze, waiting to strike. The sky of sand continued to churn above us, driven by the large gourd beneath Master Wild Sand's feet. He continued with a cruel smile. "Although your people might break through eventually, they will be delayed for at least half a day. And besides," he lowered his voice into a cold laugh. King Glorious Blaze clenched his fists, fury boiling beneath his restraint. "Besides what?" he demanded through gritted teeth. Master Wild Sand lifted his head to the sun blazing overhead. "Besides, it is almost noon. The eruption of yin energy in the earth veins will soon take place. Brother Glorious Blaze, your heavenly corpse arts will lose much of their strength." Those words struck like poison. King Glorious Blaze's expression froze. A layer of black energy rose around his body like spectral flames, and his lips curled into a bitter, furious grin. "Very good. I did not think you knew both the heavenly corpse arts and the yin energy of the earth veins, but you only know scraps. You will witness the true power of the heavenly corpse arts yourselves." His hope for reinforcements had collapsed. Now, like a cornered beast, he chose to release all restraints. His survival depended on showing overwhelming strength, strength that might force me to choose his side. With a roar, he opened his mouth and spat out a mass of thick black blood. It twisted into a strange talisman symbol that surged into his forehead. leaving a burning mark that glowed with dark radiance. That brand awakened a frightening force within him. Gray corpse energy erupted from his flesh like a volcanic surge, rolling outward as he let out a savage roar. Master Wild Sand reacted instantly. "Attack!" he shouted, his voice ringing with decisive murder. He stomped on the giant gourd beneath him. The sand condensed into a 10-meter-long sand flood dragon, its body roaring forward with the momentum of a collapsing mountain. At the same time, the white windstorm erupted, hurling over 100 crescent-shaped wind blades that shrieked through the air like razor steel. Within the cover of the wind blades, the black devilish cloud released over 10 flying sabers, each glowing with pitch-black light. They grew from miniature blades into massive 3-meter weapons as they streaked toward King Glorious Blaze like silent executioners. All 3 attacks converged at once. Right at that moment, King Glorious Blaze completed his terrifying transformation. His tall crown flew into the air, his hair whirling like a storm before stretching longer and turning into black-purple strands. His body grew taller by more than a meter, muscle twisting beneath skin that hardened into ancient green fur. His hands curled into claws, dark purple, sharp enough to rip through metal. His face shrank into a corpse-like mask. His fangs extended, and he became the image of a 10,000-year corpse monarch. His roar shook the air. He spat out a golden pearl that expanded into a giant golden hand, which grabbed the sand flood dragon by the throat with crushing force. With his claws, he met the storm of wind blades and flying sabers head-on. A thunderous explosion swallowed everything. Ripples of black and white light burst outward. King Glorious Blaze's body glowed with dark energy as he forced all the attacks backwards. The flying sabers and wind blades scattered through the air, hurled aside by the raw power of his claws. His transformed body was far beyond normal physical defense. His claws were tougher than a heaven-refined treasure. Each swing shattered the coordinated assault of his enemies. Meanwhile, the giant golden hand clamped around the sand flood dragon, holding it in place as it struggled against the crushing grip. Watching from the center of the formation, I felt a ripple of surprise. For someone so heavily wounded, King Glorious Blaze had managed to summon power that rivaled a true devil monarch. His injuries had not destroyed his strength, they had only forced him to reveal his true nature. But Master Wild Sand did not panic. His lips curled into a confident smirk. He raised his finger toward the sand dragon. The sand dragon suddenly disintegrated into scattered grains, slipping through the golden hand and reforming into a dense sphere around it. The golden hand, now trapped inside the ball of sand, strained furiously to break free. That was only the beginning. Master Wild Sand silently formed 2 intricate hand gestures. The sands beneath the entire formation trembled, and massive waves of yellow sand rose like towering mountains, each one over 30 meters high, curling forward with haunting wails as if spirits were trapped within the grains. The sand moved under the authority of the formation itself, merging with the battle and turning the entire battlefield into his weapon. In that instant, I understood the truth. His plan had shifted. He would kill both King Glorious Blaze and me together. Once the sand formation sealed shut, everything inside it would be destroyed, leaving no witnesses and no survivors. If I hesitated any longer, I would die beside King Glorious Blaze. A curse burned in my mind as I acted. I waved my sleeve, and dozens of golden flying swords surged out, swirling into a sea of sword streaks that tore into the nearest wall of sand. At the same time, I summoned the ancient purple mirror into my hand, pouring power into it until a beam of violet light struck forward. The mirror was especially lethal against mist and illusions, but the beam pierced through the sand without effect, vanishing like smoke through stone. My frown deepened. The formation was built to resist techniques like that. Still, my swords cut a great hole through the sand wave. That was when King Glorious Blaze shouted a warning, his voice echoing across the battlefield. "Be careful, Soulfall Sand corrupts magic treasures." Soulfall Sand? My mind froze for a moment. From the hole torn by my swords, a chilling wind blew outward. Specks of black sand splashed across my sword formation and instantly released black threads of spiritual energy. The threads wrapped around every sword, severing the spiritual links that connected them to my mind. I felt the bond weakening, my control fading with every heartbeat. My expression turned cold. With a single word, I commanded, "Burst!" Thunder exploded, my swords erupted with lightning, shredding the black threads and blowing open a vast empty space within the sand. For a moment, the sand retreated, revealing what lay beneath. At the center of the formation floated a dense mass of sand, heavier and more concentrated than anything around it. It was the core holding everything together, far too great to destroy quickly. Before I could strike again, danger flashed in my spiritual sense. A scarlet halberd sliced through the air, passing through the space where I had stood a moment earlier. Heat scorched my skin even from a distance. Silver wings appeared on my back, lightning flickered around me, and I moved more than 30 meters away in a single blur of thunder. My lightning movement left a ring of sound in the air as the halberd spun back toward the devilish cloud. I stared into the cloud, my eyes glowing blue as the bright sight spirit eyes pierced the shroud. Through the cloud, I saw the cultivator hidden within, an azure-robed old man, a true devil cultivator with a calm expression shattered by growing alarm. He had seen my lightning movement, and his confidence had faltered. Before he could think or retreat, I flapped my wings and vanished again, lightning thunder rolling through the formation. In a flash of silver, I appeared beside the black cloud. The old man reacted by slapping his storage pouch, summoning an azure shield that spun in front of him. Lightning blossomed around my fists, gold streaming through silver, and explosions echoed through the sand as power gathered around my form. But I vanished again before he could see the strike. The old man's heart dropped. He spat out a glowing green sword that circled him in defensive arcs. Yet he still felt deeply unsettled. He prepared to unleash more treasures, terrified that his defense would collapse under the next thunderous blow. But before he could act, he suddenly heard thunder ring from his side. Arcs of golden lightning violently leapt about 10 meters around Han Li, brilliantly setting him ablaze with golden light as if he were a lightning god that had descended upon the world. The pressure of the lightning repelled the surrounding evil aura, and the thick cloud of devilish breath that had concealed the azure-robed old man was wiped away in a clean circle over 30 meters wide. The old man, who had been hiding confidently within the darkness, now stood completely exposed before Han Li's gaze. The old man let out a shocked cry the moment he understood the situation had reversed. Panic flashed across his face, and the power around his body surged chaotically as he turned into a streak of light and tried to flee. His instincts told him that there was no longer any possibility of resisting head-on. But Han Li had already taken great risk with his lightning movement to close the distance, and he would not allow the enemy to escape so easily. Han Li's body blurred as dozens of afterimages appeared in the air behind him, his speed so sharp and sudden that the eye could barely follow. With both hands raised, he formed seals so swiftly that the motions were almost invisible. A condensed ball of purple flame surged from his palm, accompanied by a streak of golden light that shot forward like a bolt of heavenly lightning. When the old man sensed Han Li's speed, the fear in his mind turned into desperate terror. In that instant he summoned his shield with a trembling thought, a wall of azure radiance blooming like a barrier before him. The purple fireball struck it with a harsh echo, spreading out like liquid flame. But instead of burning, the fire transformed. It instantly froze itself and the barrier beneath it, sealing the old man's shield in a prison of thick purple ice. Frost rapidly spread along the surface, locking it in place. The old man screamed in disbelief, unable to understand how fire had become ice with such killing force. His voice cracked in panic, shouting for answers, but the golden streak of light reached the wall of ice at that same moment. The streak vanished with a sharp crack, only to reappear on the other side of the barrier, right in front of the old man's shoulder. A spear of agony tore through him. The golden light sliced cleanly through flesh and bone, tearing his arm from his body before he could react fully. The limb spun into the air, and blood sprayed in a bright arc. The old man's eyes widened so far they looked ready to tear, horror twisting his face. If he had not desperately shifted his body, that strike would have cut through his head and ended him immediately. The streak of light circled upward, revealing itself as an inch-long golden sword, its blade glimmering like condensed lightning. Behind the old man, the wall of ice showed a small, perfect hole, as though the sword had passed through everything without resistance. It was a weapon that ignored barriers, ignored defenses, and simply killed. The old man's thoughts churned in panic. He slapped a talisman onto his body with trembling fingers, sealing his wound to halt the blood, and glared at Han Li with hatred twisted by fear. Yet when his eyes met Han Li's form, his heart collapsed. Han Li had disappeared entirely, vanished from sight without even stirring the air. He understood nothing could save him now. He shouted reflexively and tried to summon another treasure, reaching for his storage pouch. But the world around him suddenly went silent. Behind him, a faint sound rose, almost inaudible, and the protective light around his body shattered. A purple-flamed palm burst through his back, and his entire body froze from the inside out. Purple ice enveloped his chest, spreading in a thick crystalline layer. Every breath of strength in his body vanished. His mind fell into dread deeper than death itself. Han Li withdrew his hand and flicked his sleeve. A net of golden lightning surged forth, wrapping around the frozen body, shattering it into countless pieces. Purple ice chunks burst apart in the air, scattering like a rain of glittering crystal. From within the fragments, a small nascent soul wrapped in dark light burst out desperately, trying to use instant movement to flee. But Han Li was already ready. He spat lightning that wove itself into a second golden net, trapping the fleeing spirit before it could escape. Han Li formed an incantation gesture, and the net contracted violently, rupturing in exploding light. When the light faded, nothing remained of the old man's nascent soul, no trace, no echo, not even a wisp. The entire exchange lasted only a breath. A mid-nascent soul cultivator, one confident enough to attack Han Li with a scorching halberd moments earlier, was eliminated so cleanly and ruthlessly that the remaining two enemies stared on in pale terror. This was not a battle, it was execution. In the distance, Master Wild Sand and Lord Heavenwind exchanged hidden voice transmissions, understanding instantly that the situation had changed beyond saving. Their confidence broke. Without hesitation, they withdrew their treasures, retreated into the sand cloud behind them, and vanished without a trace. Survival mattered more than vengeance. King Glorious Blaze still struggled against the magic tools focused on him, his heavenly corpse body holding firm despite his heavy injuries. His resilience seemed inhuman, yet when he turned to look at Han Li, the cold unease in his heart only deepened. He thought about the corpse body he possessed, the power accumulated over countless years, and wondered, even at his peak, could he cut through an equal in the same raw and absolute fashion? Could he destroy both body and soul so swiftly? He doubted it, and that doubt chilled him. He looked at Han Li again, confirming what his senses told him. Han Li was still clearly a mid-nascent soul cultivator, no matter how impossible it seemed. That realization made King Glorious Blaze feel as though someone had poured ice into his blood. If he had sent his true body rather than mere incarnations to deal with Han Li earlier, that might have been his end. Even now, a sense of gratitude to his own caution flickered in his mind. He thought to speak to Han Li, to offer something in this strange moment, when the earth around them suddenly changed. The waves of yellow sand forming the spell formation withdrew into the distance, as though evaporating into the air. In their place, innumerable grains of black sand appeared, each glimmering with icy darkness. Their arrangement in the cloud formed a strange, oppressive pattern, one that carried the density of countless souls refined into material. Ghostly wails rose from the sand, cold and chilling. The black sand surged with crushing power, pressing directly toward Han Li and King Glorious Blaze at the heart of the battlefield. King Glorious Blaze's expression twisted. He shouted a warning toward Han Li with urgency. The entirety of the Soulfall sand had been released into the formation. It was not something that common treasures could block. Only by using their own cultivation could they hope to endure. Master Wild Sand could not maintain such power forever if they survived several rounds. The threat would fade, but if they were overwhelmed early, death was guaranteed. Han Li hovered calmly in the air, eyes narrowed with thoughtful indifference. He murmured to himself about the nature of the black sand. The dense yin essence within it made clear that it was refined through countless souls, explaining why its power was so absolute. King Glorious Blaze grew unsettled. Han Li had not yet taken any action to defend himself. But with no time left, King Glorious Blaze spat out balls of gray corpse flames. The flames condensed into a thick fireball surrounding him like a shield. It was a defense forged through untold years of cultivation, and he placed all his remaining power into it. Black sand engulfed him. The collision between corpse flames and soulfall sand released violent flashes of alternating black and gray light. Each impact echoed with terrible force, as though souls were screaming in the pressure of destruction. Meanwhile, Han Li retreated through the air, trying to distance himself. After a moment, he felt the boundary of the formation blocking any further escape. He slapped a pouch at his waist, releasing a streak of black light that landed before him and transformed into a small black monkey wearing a deeply dissatisfied expression. The weeping soul beast had been forcibly summoned, taken from its cultivation. It scowled in anger, but when it sniffed the air and sensed the yin essence around it, that irritation vanished instantly. Its eyes lit up with delight. Without waiting for a command, the beast beat its chest and let out a deep whistle. Black radiance blazed from its body, and its form expanded rapidly, growing until it became an enormous ape over 30 meters tall. A ghostly face symbol appeared on its back, shifting across its surface like living shadow. King Glorious Blaze, struggling against the flood of soulfall sand, froze in alarm when he saw the creature's true size. Even the two enemies hidden in the distant sand clouds stared in stunned disbelief. No one understood why Han Li had summoned such a strange spirit beast, until the moment the creature exhaled. The massive ape snorted, releasing a thick cloud of yellow light that wrapped both Han Li and itself inside its protective glow. The black sand arrived a heartbeat later, covering them completely. A suffocating ring of black aura surrounded the yellow cloud, and the grains of soulfall sand released their evil essence, the shining black particles fully revealing themselves. The ape grinned wide, showing rows of sharp teeth. From its nose, a beam of golden light burst forth, sweeping the cloud. Every grain of black sand in its path was absorbed instantly. The golden light returned into the beast's breath as though nothing could resist it. Again and again, golden beams swept outward. The deadly cloud of black sand dissolved, its yin essence pulled into the beast's protective light. All of the soulfall sand's power was devoured and neutralized, replaced by a vast halo of yellow radiance. In the distant sand cloud, Master Wild Sand and Lord Heavenwind watched all of this unfold with dumbfounded shock. Soulfall sand truly wasn't an ordinary treasure. Master Wild Sand had to secretly kill many low-grade cultivators, using their primal souls, large quantities of materials, and over 100 years of strenuous effort in order to refine it so that it could corrupt other magic treasures. In battle, whenever Master Wild Sand faced an opponent, he would release the drifting cloud of soulfall sand and watch as their protective treasures darkened, cracked, and lost their power. It was fearsome, invisible, and relentless. Many cultivators fell without understanding how their weapons were drained of life. That was why he earned the chilling title Master Wild Sand, a figure respected and dreaded among the heretical Taoists. With that weapon in his grasp, he dared to provoke even King Glorious Blaze, a legendary evil cultivator whose strength came from the corpse path. The sand was his confidence, the reason he placed himself on equal footing with that ancient monster. Yet now, something impossible had occurred. A stranger had stepped into the formation, a cultivator unknown to the two of them, and with effortless calm dissolved the soulfall sand as if it were nothing. Not only he, but even the gigantic ape spirit beast beside him remained untouched. The sand that once devoured treasures like hungry ghosts had been swallowed whole and rendered harmless. Master Wild Sand's heart trembled. If his greatest weapon was useless, what did that say about this opponent? He drew the black sand back with an incantation, his mind flickering with hesitation. Was it still wise to continue this battle? Just then, beside him, Lord Heavenwind revealed his true form, a shriveled figure with small eyes glimmering like dark beads. He spoke quickly, pressing his companion, urging him to use another treasure, the blue crystal Heavensand. He believed this new threat, whatever he was, could not suppress a pure Taoist treasure infused with the essence of crystal and wind. If they used it, they might still kill the intruder and claim what they sought most, the heavenly corpse pearl. A treasure of body cultivation that could elevate them to the next stage. Both men had invested enormous effort into this scheme. The thought of failure at the end filled them with frustration. Yet Master Wild Sand shook his head. The blue crystal Heavensand was not his. It belonged to Madame Heavenstone, and he had acquired it through personal favors, sworn promises, and deep ties. He had vowed to use it only for protection. If even a single grain was lost or damaged, he would never be able to face her again. Lord Heavenwind pushed harder, saying failure now would erase everything they had worked for. The corpse pearl could not be abandoned. But Master Wild Sand refused. The Heavensand was consumable. Once used, it would disappear. And even worse, it might not work on this mysterious cultivator. If that happened, they would have spent their final card and still faced defeat. Before their argument could spiral further, a streak of fiery light descended through the clouds and landed in Master Wild Sand's hand. A sound transmission talisman. He pressed his spiritual sense into it, his face growing dark as he absorbed the message. When he finished, he destroyed the talisman with a wave and turned coldly to his companion. They had no path forward. The earth fiend forces they had arranged across the mountain, and the Devilwind seeds spread through the valley, had been wiped out by corpse soldiers under the control of a woman named Concubine Jadeflower. Now, her legions of high-grade spirit corpses marched toward them. Staying meant death from behind as well as in front. "Let us go," he commanded. Lord Heavenwind could only follow bitterly, his ambitions collapsing inside his chest like ashes. They flew together, a rolling cloud of black sand gathering in the sky, shrinking like a wounded beast, and then streaking away into the distance. They did not look back. Not once. On the battlefield, Han Li stood tall upon the shoulders of the enormous ape, his face calm, expression cold as he watched the two retreat. Time pressed against his thoughts like a blade. If the battle had continued, he would have used his most hidden weapon, the Heavenvoid Cauldron. A divine spirit treasure capable of sealing sands and spirits. It had already proven its power against the Saintess of the Endless Sky. Against the Soulfall Sand, it would have worked as well. But that treasure was too rare, too recognizable. If even one pair of eyes understood what it truly was, endless trouble would reach for him from every hidden corner of the world. And with his time limited, risk was unacceptable. As the dark sand faded into the horizon, King Glorious Blaze exhaled deeply, relief spreading across his smoldering corpse flames. The flames on his body still burned, but his state was terrible. The spiritual energy leaking from him was half of what it had been. In desperation, he had spat his corpse flames to block the soulfall sand, and the price was his ancient vitality. Still, he forced dignity into his posture, saluted Han Li, and thanked him. His voice was respectful, calm on the surface, but beneath it lay tension like a coiled serpent. He feared that Han Li, having saved his life, might choose to end it now that he was weakened. The gigantic ape remained silent, half closing its eyes as though savoring the sand it had swallowed. Its presence alone made King Glorious Blaze feel cold, as if a beast designed by heaven to devour corpses stood only a single step away. Even its curious flick of the tongue made his heart twist with dread. When Han Li examined the corpse monarch, he felt the presence of corpse energy identical to what he had seen in the Vajra barrier. The name King Glorious Blaze, the secret account from Jin Yuan, all the pieces fit. He stood before the very corpse monarch others had spoken of in whispers. He evaluated his options carefully. The backlash of his baleful energy was approaching with each passing day. Killing the corpse monarch might solve one threat, but it would open another. King Glorious Blaze was wounded, yet still dangerous. With the time Han Li had left before the Soullock seal tightened its hold again, he might not be able to kill the monarch before the situation turned unpredictable. So instead, he buried the cold edge of his killing intent and turned the battlefield into negotiation. He reminded the monarch that he had saved his life and asked what compensation he intended to offer. He was not a saint. A favor should not go unpaid. And if he could acquire something valuable, Then this accidental rescue would become an opportunity. King Glorious Blaze relaxed visibly. A negotiation was far safer than a duel. He claimed he had only a few spirit stones and materials on him, suggesting they return to his cave for proper repayment. Han Li watched him calmly, then stated his true interest, the golden pearl, the shining treasure within the corpse monarch's body. The monarch's expression darkened. The pearl was the core of his cultivation path, the thing Master Wild Sand and Lord Heavenwind had chased so desperately. It was the heavenly corpse pearl, produced only after a corpse monarch refined supreme corpse arts through centuries of cultivation. He hesitated, looked at the towering ape, and forced a smile. With a bitter gesture, he spat the pearl into the open air. Han Li extended a large azure hand of spiritual power. Catching it, he examined it, finding no hidden trick. Astonished, he wondered why the monarch had given it up so easily. When he mentioned this item, he intended only to haggle and see what King Glorious Blaze could give him. This sudden turn of events left him bewildered. Han Li felt as if lightning struck through his mind and wore a doubtful expression. When King Glorious Blaze saw this, he hesitated for a moment before taking the initiative to explain. Please do not feel this is strange, fellow Taoist. Although this is a heavenly corpse pearl, it is not the one that I cultivated. When I first acquired the heavenly corpse arts, I obtained this corpse pearl as well. As my own heavenly corpse pearl is extremely important, I conceal it in my tomb instead of carrying it on me. Hearing this, Han Li slowly nodded, the uncertainty in his heart easing. The situation made sense. A corpse monarch who relied on body cultivation would never lightly expose his true pearl. Han Li accepted the explanation, but in the same instant, a subtle awareness stirred within his senses. His expression sharpened slightly, and he lifted his head, gazing toward a distant horizon. Something was approaching. It seems your men have arrived, Han Li said calmly. I will be taking my leave. Before King Glorious Blaze could reply, Han Li's body erupted with bright azure light. The glow expanded like wings, and his figure transformed into a streak across the sky, disappearing in an instant. King Glorious Blaze stared after him, his thoughts wavering. The excuse sounded believable, yet there was a part of him that wondered if Han Li was simply choosing not to remain near a corpse monarch whose strength might return. But that line of thought broke as ghost wails rose like a storm from the distance, and a vast green cloud surged across the horizon. His expression shifted into joy. The forces under his control had arrived, countless spirit corpses, vengeful shadows bound by his corpse flames, sweeping across the horizon to support him. With Master Wild Sand and Lord Heavenwind gone, there was no longer any pressure weighing on his shoulders. He turned into a streak of dim gray light, racing toward his approaching army. Far away, Han Li was already flying through the sky at the speed of a thunderbolt. Time pressed down on him like a blade. At any moment, the Soul Lock seal would return, suppressing his magic power. With that seal active, he would no longer be able to face any of the three heretical cultivators. His only option was a clean escape, not a drawn-out flight, but a fast, sharp retreat that left no trail. He pushed his restored magic power to its utmost limit. His body streaked from region to region, changing direction many times, weaving a path like a serpent through clouds and mountains. Azure light rippled behind him like a wake in the sky. Only when he arrived at a mountain range that stretched for thousands of kilometers, and the first pressure of the seal returned, did he finally land. As he descended onto a barren, quiet mountain, he slowly let out a breath he had been holding. The terrain here was unfamiliar to others, but he recognized it through careful memory. He no longer needed speed, he needed concealment. 2 days passed quietly. Han Li landed on a desolate, rocky slope. With a flick of his wrist, several magic tools flew out, carving stone as if cutting cloth. Caverns opened within moments, forming a small, hidden residence. At the entrance, he laid down a concealment formation, subtle, simple, but clever enough to prevent common detection. The mountain wind sighed against the valley, and the formation faded like mist. Inside the sealed stone chamber, Han Li sat cross-legged. Monarch soul divergence broke the silence, his voice echoing from the bamboo tube on Han Li's back. You plan on comprehending the bright-jawed arts here? Han Li opened his eyes and replied, "Why, this place is not suitable?" The ancient soul let out a displeased snort. "There is no spirit vein here. By the time you finish cultivating at this speed, my soul will already have scattered." Han Li chuckled lightly. "Senior, please do not be angry. I was only joking. I have already comprehended a portion of the bright-jawed arts on the way. Fortunately, the first layer does not require a large amount of spiritual energy. I should be able to complete it within a year, but the second layer will be much more difficult. It requires abundant spiritual power. I will need to cultivate near a true spirit vein. To avoid the danger of the baleful energy backlash, I must complete the first 2 layers." He paused, thinking through the complexities of his situation. There are many spirit veins in the Great Jin, but they will all be claimed by major sects. Even the weak ones will be occupied. Since I plan to recover my strength quickly, I need a spirit vein with good quality. It may be best to infiltrate a large sect quietly. Monarch Soul Divergence sounded intrigued. "From your tone, it seems you already have a plan." Han Li nodded. "That is right, I already have a target. And I will not even need to forge an identity." "Oh, tell me." Han Li spoke slowly, recalling the documents he discovered. Inside the Feng clan's secret cave, there were records. Among them were several documents describing a hidden plan. Many years ago, the Feng clan master prepared an escape route for clan disciples, creating a false background as a wealthy merchant family in the Nan province. The merchant clan controls many successful businesses, but they were all secretly nurtured by the Feng clan. Now that the Feng clan is destroyed, the merchant clan remains, and no one knows the truth. I can use that identity to enter a large sect. In 3 years, I should free most of my strength from the baleful energy, and then I can search for the materials you require." The ancient soul gave a satisfied nod. "That seems like a good idea. But why have you stopped here? You plan to cultivate the first layer of the incantation?" "Yes," Han Li said. "First, I want to confirm that there are no problems with cultivating the bright-jawed arts. And I also want to take advantage of this remote place to make the Vajra barrier recognize me as its master. I will also refine that crystallized demon core into a flying needle. But before that, I need to deal with these items." He raised his hand, and a white pearl and a golden pearl appeared in his palm. One was the heavenly corpse pearl he had received from King Glorious Blaze. The other was the snow crystal pearl he had taken from the renegade disciple of the 9 Immortals' palace. Han Li gazed at the 2 treasures with thoughtful eyes. The snow crystal pearl is an extremely rare ice attribute treasure, and it has not yet recognized a master. If I refine it properly, it will greatly benefit my purple apex flames. And the heavenly corpse pearl is valued so highly that even mid-nascent soul cultivators will kill for it. It must possess incredible value. Senior, do you know how it is used? Monarch Soul Divergence paused in thought. I do not know the complete details, since this involves the Ghost Dao and Corpse Dao. However, I know enough. Corpse pearls are created only by corpse monarchs. Cultivators who refine their bodies will treat this as a miraculous treasure. After swallowing it, the pearl slowly nurtures the body, greatly increasing physical strength. Once fully refined, the cultivator's body will have the durability of a corpse monarch. Given that this pearl is named Heavenly Corpse Pearl, its effects should be extraordinary. That King Glorious Blaze most likely cultivates a body cultivation method. Han Li stared at the golden pearl, hesitating. Swallow it? To refine this treasure, I must refine it inside my body? Of course, the ancient spirit replied. It is not as simple as swallowing it directly. Corpse pearls are highly poisonous. You must first prepare a spirit liquid to remove the poison. The materials are rare, but I believe you already have what you need. It is possible the pearl will greatly benefit the cultivation of the bright-jawed arts. I will duplicate the recipe on a jade slip for you. A jade slip shot out from the bamboo tube, and Han Li caught it, placing his spiritual sense within. Moments passed. Then Monarch Soul Divergence spoke again, his tone strangely curious. Youngster Han, have you forgotten something important since you escaped from the Moulan Plains? Han Li withdrew his spiritual sense and frowned. Something important? What do you mean? The ancient soul sighed. Have you forgotten? Your divine spirit treasure, that small cauldron, has something sealed inside it. Han Li smiled faintly. You mean the incarnation of the holy endless sky beast? That is right. The ancient soul chuckled. You sealed it, then did nothing. Did you forget it was there? Han Li let out a breath. Forget? Of course not, but I can only deal with it once my magic power returns. You do not know what I have already attempted. What did you do? The ancient voice asked eagerly. Han Li gave a helpless smile. What could I do? The cauldron is not something I can take out easily. The capture of that beast surpassed any expectation. All I could do was attempt to communicate with it through spiritual sense. And the result? Han Li shook his head. It has not been in this world long enough. It lacks intelligence. I cannot communicate with it. That is normal, Monarch Soul Divergence said calmly. The beast was formed from the spiritual sense of a being from a greater realm. Its intelligence will blossom in a few years. There is no rush. Han Li nodded. Then there is nothing to do but wait. It is a pity that the endless sky saintess's cauldron is sealed inside it. The power of her spirit sand would have made it a remarkable treasure. It seems her cauldron was an imitation of the Heaven Void cauldron. The saintess's cauldron does not seem to be a magic treasure specialized in combat. Unlike the Seven Flame fan, if you are able to collect enough materials to form the imitation that I devised, the fan will certainly be above that of the endless sky saintess's cauldron. I cannot wait to see it, Monarch Soul Divergence said with a cold smile. In this episode, we saw Han Li escape from the deadly conflict on the Moulan Plains and carve out a temporary refuge while his magic power remained unsealed. Across these 5 combined chapters, Han Li secured 2 rare pearls, an icy snow crystal pearl and the mysterious heavenly corpse pearl, each holding immense value for his cultivation path. We learned the true nature of corpse pearls, how they can reshape the cultivator's physical strength, and the dangers of refining them without special spirit liquid. During his escape, Han Li revealed his long-term plan, to secretly use an old identity created by the fallen Feng clan to disguise himself as a wealthy merchant heir. With this hidden identity, he hopes to enter a powerful sect in Nan province and use a spirit vein to accelerate the cultivation of the bright-jawed arts, freeing himself from the sealed baleful energy within several years. At the same time, he begins refining treasures like the crystallized demon core and the Vajra barrier, testing the first layer of the bright-jawed arts in isolation. We also saw Monarch Soul Divergence remind Han Li of something he nearly ignored, the small cauldron holding the incarnation of the holy endless sky beast. Although Han Li tried communicating through spiritual sense, the beast's intelligence remains undeveloped. It may take several years before it can truly respond. The cauldron of the endless sky saintess remains sealed inside with the spirit sand. But Monarch Soul Divergence reveals his confidence in the power of the Seven Flame fan once Han Li gathers the required materials. In this episode, we saw decisions that will shape Han Li's path for many years, the choice to cultivate a dangerous new art, the risk of refining the heavenly corpse pearl, and a plan to infiltrate a sect under a false identity. Powerful treasures, secret techniques, and hidden dangers continue to surround him. What happens next? Stay tuned for the next episode of Immortal's Journey to Immortality. If you liked this episode or found it interesting, do not forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel to receive notifications about the newest episodes in Han Li's journey. Thank you for watching the video. Goodbye, and see you again in the next episodes.